Today, I have a story for you guys about a kid who actually thought that Scream was real. He claims he had plenty of interactions with Ghostface from the movie, and it's just a really weird, really funny story. I know you guys are gonna enjoy it. Like the video or else Santa will put you on his naughty list for the next 69 years. That's right, I have a direct contact with Santa and I will make sure of it. So you better like and also subscribe so I can hit 420 trillion subscribers. With that all being said and done, sit back, relax, and enjoy this story. So for this story, we're gonna call our subscriber, let's call him Josh. Now, Josh was a freshman in high school, and this story is about one of his closest friends, who we're gonna call Eli. So Josh and Eli were pretty close friends, like I said, but they were also part of a bigger friend group. There's probably about like 3 or 4 of their other buddies that they would always hang out with, and one day they all decided to meet up at the movies to see the new Scream 6. Now, Scream is rated R, and like I said, this group of friends, they were all freshmen in high school, so they were gonna have a tough time getting in, but this wasn't their first time seeing an R-rated movie, so they already knew what to do. They had a way around the system. So their movie theater had exit doors on the side, and now these doors were just for exit for people after they're done with the movie. They would go and exit out these doors. It was a one-way door, so the outside didn't have handles, but the inside, you know, you can push on the door and it would open. So they got there pretty early and just sat around and waited for somebody to use the exit door. Eventually, a movie ended and people started leaving, and that's when, just as the last person left outside of the door, one of the friends grabbed the door and stopped it from closing all the way, and they let themselves in. Easy W. Now they just had to make it undetected, and of course they had to walk into the theater without drawing any attention, because if one of the movie theater employees saw a bunch of kids walking into an R-rated movie, then they're gonna have to put a stop to it. Now, to be honest with you guys, I used to work at the movies whenever I was like 16 or 17, and maybe I'm admitting to a crime or something, but if I saw that, I would not care and I would let them go see the movie. Allegedly. And also, figuratively speaking, if I was actually a movie theater employee at one time and a group of teenagers came up and tried to see an R-rated movie, maybe they would be able to see it. Possibly. Yeah, I mean, I just did not care. And to be honest with you guys, there's probably only like 1 or 2 Karen workers there who actually cared and would say anything. I mean, at the end of the day, we were all also teenagers and we're making like $8 an hour. Like, we could care less. That's the other thing. With people sneaking candy into the movies, whenever we're being trained and stuff, we're told that we have to stop people from bringing it in, but truly, like, nobody enforces it. And also, there's a bunch of other rules where, like, you can't search somebody's bag, or like, even if you just have a shopping bag, we can't like ask to look through it. So if you wanted to sneak candy in, just put it in a grocery bag and walk into the movies and they can't say anything. Swear it works. And if they say something, just say, oh, I just went shopping. Easy dubs. Anyways, movie theater companies, do not sue me. And yeah, so the group of friends made it into the Scream movie. Luckily, they made it in undetected. And like I said, even if they did get detected, I mean, all the workers at movies for the most part don't care. Now, of course, there's going to be the few Karen workers who like to go on their little power trips and all of that, but that's a very rare occasion, all right? They're usually not around, or they're too busy working their ass off at the movies. Anyways, they go and they see the movie, and now Eli, he claimed that he's seen scary movies before, right? Whenever the friends would be talking and they'd be talking about like certain different movies and stuff, Eli was always like, I seen Chucky, I seen Nightmare on Elm Street, I seen all the scary movies, all the scariest ones. I'm not scared of anything, and I thought that they were super good movies and cool. However, it turns out that Eli was lying, because it was very obvious that this was his like first time seeing a scary movie like this. Josh had seen scary movies before. He actually saw the other Scream that came out earlier, and same with some of the other friends. So, you know, the movie didn't get to them too much. They'd seen them before, but this was definitely Eli's first time watching, because he was screaming whenever there was a jump scare. Even if the jump scare wasn't that good, he was screaming and shouting, and you could tell that he was genuinely scared. So once they finished the movie and they left, all Eli could talk about is the movie and how scary it was. He was like, didn't you guys think that that was scary? I mean, like, that actually got me. And everyone was like, you know, it's kind of I mean, Josh says that the movie wasn't great. It was kind of cheesy, and he thought it was more funny than scary. But as they were walking back, you know, in the dark at nighttime back to their house from the movies, Eli just kept talking about how scary it was. And then like a street light would be flickering or something, and he'd be like, it must mean that Ghostface is near. And you know, he was like making a joke out of of it. Then like a car or something would pass by and he'd like scream and be all like, ah! Like you could just tell that Eli was on edge the whole entire time after seeing the movie. So eventually everyone makes it back to their house, and that's whenever Josh gets a call from Eli. Josh of course answers it, and to his surprise it's Eli acting like all frantic. He sounds absolutely mortified, and he's like, I think that the movie's real. I think that he's outside of my house right now, Josh. I'm not even kidding. And Josh was like, oh yeah, real funny, dude. All right, it was just a movie, like it's not real. And Eli was like, no dude, I'm telling you, there's someone outside of my house. And Josh just laughed at him and was like, all right dude, I'm going to bed, and hung up the phone. The next day at school, Eli runs over to Josh and he's like, dude, he is real. Then he starts telling this story about how he got chased through the woods and how he had to hide in a tree to escape the killer, and that it had to have been Scream. As Eli's telling this story, the rest of the friend group walks over to see what he's talking about, and Eli's just going on, saying that he literally nearly died last night, and he was basically just like pretending like he was one of the characters from the movie, because if you guys didn't know, in the Scream movie, everybody like doubts that he's real and stuff, and there's like one kid who everyone thinks that he's crazy because he says that it's real. So, you know, he's like playing into that character. But at this point, the friend group and Josh, they all just look at each other and they try to hold in their laugh. And at that point, they all knew that Eli was really invested into the whole Scream story. So it got to the point where this was basically all Eli would talk about every day. In the hallways, he would stop his friends and try to talk to them about it. At lunch, that was all that he would talk about, is Scream and Ghostface, and he swear he saw him again some other night and he had to run away. Like, it was honestly kind of weird. It was getting pretty annoying to the friends. So after school one day, Josh and his group of buddies got in a call together, only they didn't add Eli, and they were all discussing on what they can do to get Eli to stop talking about this. They're like, all right guys, this has gone too far. Like, Eli has gone crazy over this movie. What can we do to stop this? So they came up with this plan, and the first part of it was to play along with everything and, you know, actually say that they believe him and agree with him. So during lunch and any encounters they had with Eli in the hallways, one of the friends would come up with an encounter that they had with Ghostface and tell it to Eli and be like, dude, we think you're actually right. I saw him last night and this happened. And they would say the most outlandish and unbelievable things about this. They'd be like, Ghostface was in my bathroom last night whenever I was taking a crap. He was looking through my window. And it would be pretty obvious that it was a joke, but Eli would be like, oh my god, really? And then the friend would be like, yeah, of course, dude. For some reason, Eli was actually buying this. Like, he was truly believing all of his friends' stories that they were telling him. No matter how crazy, how obscure they were, he believed them. Like, he wasn't catching on that this was jokes, right? He was like, oh my gosh, I'm right. Ghostface is actually real. So one day, the group of friends decided to take this joke a little bit further. They got into another call and they were discussing how they couldn't believe that Eli was actually believing this and how that this is still going on. They plotted a crazy prank to pull on Eli. Now, this prank was going to absolutely convince Eli that Ghostface was out to get him. But then eventually they're going to, you know, show him it was a prank. So then they could be like, oh yeah, it was us messing with you this whole time. Ghostface isn't real. It's just a movie, dude. Get over it. And that was the whole idea of it. So the plan was Josh was going to get his older brother to dress up as Ghostface. So with the brother dressed up, the day the prank arrived and all of the friends met up at one of the local parks. It was late afternoon and the sun was starting to set, and you know, the playground was getting all dark and kind of eerie. And now Eli, he was still going on and on about his most recent close call he had with Ghostface, like still playing into this. Mind you, it's been like probably 2 weeks now, and Eli will not shut up about Ghostface, saying that it's real. He swears, oh my gosh, I had this other encounter, all these encounters with Ghostface. Like, shut up, dude. But of course, the whole entire friend group played into it because that was the plan. They had basically accidentally convinced Eli that they all had encounters with Ghostface as well, and he thought that they all believed in him too. So they were chatting, you know, talking about it, and that's whenever Josh's older brother started walking over. And of course, he was dressed up as Ghostface. Now, the friend group at the time was sitting in a pavilion, and Josh's older brother was hiding right around the corner against one of the pavilion legs. It was at this moment that Eli was like, oh my god, guys, I completely forgot to tell you about what happened like 2 days ago. Right as he was saying that, that's whenever Josh's brother struck. He jumped out from his hiding space and started chasing Eli around with his plastic knife. Eli was absolutely mortified. He let out a blood-curdling scream and ran like his life absolutely depended on it. But none of the friends screamed or ran away, and Eli was looking back, seeing where his friends were. He was like, guys, you need to run. He's gonna kill us. And at that point, everyone just bursts into laughter. They couldn't contain themselves anymore, you know? I mean, how couldn't you? And that's whenever Josh's older brother took the mask off and, you know, started laughing with all of them. And that's when Eli saw what was going on and he came back down the hill that he ran up. And Josh says you could tell that Eli wanted to say a million different things, but he was so genuinely out of breath from running for his life. So he was just standing there catching his breath. His eyes were super wide with terror, like he had just basically almost died. And just seeing that alone made everybody laugh even harder. And that's whenever they started to tell Eli everything, you know, that this has been a prank. And you could tell Eli was pretty mad, but eventually, before he could even say a word, he was catching his breath, catching his composure. His little angry face turned into a little bit of a smirk, and eventually he cracked a smile and joined in on the laughter. From that day on, Eli's obsession with Scream slowly faded away finally, and he moved on to other interests, of course. See, Eli was the type of person that would like obsess over things. Whatever he was interested at the time was basically all he would talk about, but the whole Scream thing and Ghostface just went way too far. But in the end, they absolutely pranked Eli. #PrankNation.